Hi, welcome on YourPedia Education, and YourPedia is one of the platforms which is preparing you all for GDs, GTs, interviews, etc. And I think this is the only platform which is providing, as of now, this comprehensive online preparation modules for GD. So in next line in that, I tend to cover, I told you there are two kind of topics in GD. One is a static topic, any day they are relevant, and another are related to current issues. So the topics related to current issues, the most important topics related to current issues per month, I tend to cover every month. And in the month of August, there were certain issues which are very much in news. So I think these issues can come in one of the GDs which you are going for. So I'm going to cover those issues here. First issue was the very low GDP growth in India, and as per government, it was act of God. Government did not say it is act of God, but our finance minister said that COVID is act of God. We agree COVID is act of God. But what about very low GDP? Minus 24% GDP we are attaining. See these certain graphs, these are some G7 nations. G7 nations and part of G7 nations, and also India is one of the G8 or G20 nations. G20 is the group of largest developing countries, developed countries and all. In 20 nations, G20 nation, India has got the minimum or the most negative GDP growth rate. It is not that India is only country affected by COVID, other countries are also affected. But the worrisome is that why India's GDP is the worst. So if you can see this graph, India may minus 24% approximately, then UK, then France, then even the most hit country like US is minus 9% GDP. We understand that recession was there because shutdown was there, and there was expected that GDP will be negative. It was expected, but how much negative? So why India became the most negative? That is a question. That is the main thing. Now, if you see in case of India also, if you see that how it has gone down, it has gone down drastically. This if you can see this diagram, it is going down with great exponential rate, and it has gone down to a great extent. So Indian economy worst hit since independence. If you take the statistics that what is the GDP growth rate of India since independence, presently this year it is the worst phase of India's growth since independence. Now, I want you to see some more statistics first. India's GDP, can you see this diagram? This is of particular years, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16 financial year, and then 2021 is most negative. We understand it may be impact of COVID, but this is not the only impact of COVID. This is not the only impact of COVID. In fact, just before COVID, India's if you see the GDP growth, it was coming down. It was coming down. It was coming down, and if you compare in the last this just before the COVID, India's GDP, which was 4 point something percent, I will give you statistics, that was also one of the minimum in a decade. For the last 10-11 years, I'll give you that statistics, that was also low. So COVID has brought India's GDP to great extent negative, but just before COVID also Indian economy was going into negativity. So is it only if that means act of God? That is what, why it is become very negative? That is a basically question. So you see India's growth over the years, if I can tell you that. And if you go here, that means if you go just before March 2020, that is when the COVID has hit India, you see it was already coming down. It was already coming down. Indian GDP growth rate was already coming down. That is something which you have to understand. And if I basically give you only for a couple of years, like 18, 19, 20, it was continuously coming down. And then we are hit here in March 2020, we are hit here by COVID, and that brought it minus 24. You understand? And this is the same again year by year. If I can show you how it is growing, and 4.5% was the last observed just before COVID. So had there been no COVID, the question is, due to COVID, Indian there are two questions here. Due to COVID, India's GDP has become negative. But why the most negative in the world? I'll say G20 nations at least. Why the most negative? Second question is, had COVID not been there, what rate we would have grown? We were already growing at very low rate. These two things will help you in the group discussion. And I believe these are some of the statistics you should keep it. India's GDP has gone down to -24, worst among G20 nations. This data is from National Statistical Association, and one of the worst affected economies in the world is India. Finance Minister has said, Nirmala Sitharaman has said that COVID is act of God. That is true, but that has been act of God for other countries also. GDP growth just before COVID was 4.2%, which is minimum in many years. It had reached just before March 2020. GST, now what are the reasons then? Why these are the reasons? If not COVID, because COVID only cannot be the reason. So if not COVID, then what are the other reasons? GST collection somewhere has not become fruitful. This is not a positive experiment. Demonetization which we did not give us the results. Demonetization was also not something which was good, I suppose. Federal structure, you know, that center will give money to states. GST there was some provision that some GST is collected by states, and then center will give money to states. That has not happened. States have become poor in some particular domain. Unemployment rate has gone down, has gone up drastically, you know. Jobs were lost. It was said that 2 crore jobs will be created every year, but in fact 2 crore jobs were lost every year. Bad debt of the bank hitting 20 trillion rupees. Bad debt, because you cannot take loan from the banks. Government cannot take infinite loan from the banks. At the time of election, if you're taking a lot of loan from the banks, it will have impact, negative impact. Banks will become basically weak, you know. So banking system has become very weak. Make in India kind of domains have not worked. So make in India or all these programs which we initiated, they did not give us any dividend, and investment has fallen. Investment of other countries have fallen in India, because India is not one of the favorite domain for investors. That has also gone. So these are the reasons why I think other than COVID, these are the reason our GDP has gone down. So any topic in group discussion which is related to India's poor performance in economy, you need to have these statistics. So yes, COVID has affected us. And also, if I come to COVID, the shutdown, when we initiated shutdown suddenly, was that the appropriate time to initiate the shutdown? And now we have opened up the entire market, and it is going to give another trouble to us, that India has become now the largest one day single figure 80,000 COVID new cases, largest in the world. So shutdown, was the time appropriate for the shutdown? Second, have we created the health facilities? Third, now we are opening up. So is the situation appropriate for opening up? Because India is already becoming the second highest now number of COVID patients, and single day may rise has become very high. That is another issue now in case of India. And whenever some economy part comes, you can quote those data that just before March 2020 Indian economy was already in recession. Reasons for that can be, which I mentioned. So these data will help you in participation of your GD. Now there is another data that positive growth is there observed in agriculture sector. Now, is that reason of happiness or sadness? Listen again. There is a positive growth in agriculture sector of India. Other sectors are not growing, but agriculture sector mein there is a positive growth. So if you can see here, you know, construction, hotel, transport, every construction is going -50%, hotels -47%, manufacturing -39%, mining. So all other sectors are in negative, but agriculture is in positive. Agriculture is growing at 3.4%. So is it something that government is pushing a lot of money or funds or doing good in agriculture, or should we be happy or no? I mean, is it reality or myth? Answer is, why agriculture has become positive. What is the reason for that is because the people, the farmers, number of farmers the people who are taking agriculture as profession has increased. The count of farmers increased in April. I mean, the people who are going to agriculture sector is increasing. What is the reason for that? Agriculture is becoming profitable? No, because there is no other domain. Now think of a person who used to work earlier in industry. He became now jobless. He goes home, start working in agriculture domain. So that is the reason. So in our opinion, I mean, growth in agriculture sector, that is not a reason to be happy, because it is because you do not have jobs anywhere else. Now people are flocking to agriculture. So salaried employees, small trader, laborers, their number is decreasing. Job losses, you see, job losses are very high in small tradings, laborers. Salaried employees have become very less, but agriculture may jobs have increased. So there is no other option. If you think of, if you do not have any other option to do, what you will do? You'll go on agriculture. At least you will feed yourself, you know. That is how it has gone there. So if you see the growth of agriculture, as I showed you, others are negative, but in this it has gone up. Okay, now India is heading toward a big crisis of COVID. Yes, India is heading towards a big crisis. Single day में 80,000 cases, highest in the world. Now 40 lakh plus cases. India now second after America. America is 60 lakh approximately. India is 40 lakh. So very soon India will exceed that. What is the reason for that? It is a worrisome, because the kind when we shut down, when we did shut down, then that time cases were not much. Now when we opened up, when cases are increasing, we opened up, but are people aware? Is awareness there? Social distancing, hygiene, keeping yourself in safe situation, is that option? Employment, if you want to feed yourself, you should not die of hunger. If you want to feed yourself, you need to go out for the working. And in India, majority people are to go out for work. Second case is like exams. Other day I told you that JEE NEET exams, some 28 lakh students are to write exams, and along with each student there are 2-3 parents going out. So 50-70 lakh people are to mobilize for the exams only. So all these factors, now festive season is coming ahead, festive seasons are also approaching. So India is really at danger. So now something is to be done. Government needs to show some kind of harshness, which government has shown earlier. Everything is blocked. टोटल कर्फ्यू लगा दो और अब टोटली ओपन कर दो, टोटल कर्फ्यू लगा दो, अब टोटली ओपन कर दो. जब 20 मार्च, जब 26 मार्च को टोटली शटडाउन लगा दिया था कि 4 घंटे में सब बंद हो जाएगा. Maybe it was not required to do that, because that led to the migrant problems. People could not reach their home back. In the process, many people perished also. Now we opened it up, and now opening should also be cautiously done. It should not be haphazardly done. Opening also should be cautiously done, and we need to maintain some kind of norms. If you go to markets now, people don't even know that there is a problem like COVID. They just behave normal. They are just going there normally, you know, without even mask. So can we not, at one point we are doing total curfew, at another point we are not even asking people to use mask. So can't our police system at least tell people to use mask? Without mask there will be fine. You start doing it. Without helmet there is a fine. So people put helmet. People are not putting helmet in India for their safety. People are putting helmet in India because police is going to charge them fine or something like that. सो शटडाउन पे आपने किसी को भी जाने नहीं दिया, बिल्कुल बंद कर दिया, पूरी पुलिस लग गई, और अब आप ओपन कर रहे हो तो आप बॉदर ही नहीं कर रहे हो कौन क्या कर रहा है क्या नहीं कर रहा है. एटलीस्ट अब शटडाउन मत करो, कर्फ्यू मत लगाओ, लेकिन पुलिस एटलीस्ट कैन बी अवेयर, कैन बी आई मीन used for maintaining this kind of discipline, you know, like mask आप use करो, and वो social norms को follow करो. This is something which is worrisome for India, you know. And India crosses 8,000 cases in a single day, first country in which it has happened. No, India has crossed Brazil, and India is now second highest number पे है, Brazil US के बाद, and this is the number of cases India has now, and that is the reason it is matter of concern for us. तो क्वेश्चन जो आपसे GD का टॉपिक आ सकता है वो इससे रिलेटेड आ सकता है, कोविड as a cause of worry for India now, not in March, not in April, but now in September, October. Now when we should have worried, now we are not worrying. We are roaming around free. When there was no much reason for worry, there was no much. In one city there is to 1 or 2 cases. Now in every locality there are 1 or 2 cases. Family may there are coming 1 or 2 cases. So have we accepted it that Corona hone do? Why that particular thing now? So we need to be worrisome now. Okay. Judges has contempt of court. Criticism of judges will bring contempt of court. Contempt of court versus freedom of speech. Politicization of judiciary. You know, all these topics are related. Of late, Prashant Bhushan case, you know, is a lawyer in Supreme Court, and he criticized judiciary. Not judiciary, he criticized the conduct of judges. Chief Justice of India Bodbe Saab ka he criticized, and that brought him contempt. And then he was asked to apologize. He said, I will not apologize. And then he was given fine of 1 rupee. I think that was nominal, symbolic fine. And he said that I have not done anything wrong. I have said this, which is fact. And he said that not only me, other retired judges are also saying that. He said that for the past now many years, past 5-6 Chief Justice of India have brought not a good name to the judiciary, something like that, and judiciary is not playing its role properly. He has also said those things. Now if suppose judiciary does not play its role properly, can citizen of India not criticize them? I mean, their freedom of speech, can't we say anything openly against the judiciary? Is the judiciary supreme or people are supreme? In the Constitution of India, no, it is written that we the people of India, so people are supreme. And suppose judiciary does something which people start criticizing, then judiciary is to do self-analysis. In the case of migrant workers, in the exams, NEET, JEE exams, etc., the kind of verdict which judiciary has given, people have not accepted that wholeheartedly. So judiciary also cannot work independent from the ecosystem in which we all live. I mean, public is the supreme. So judiciary, whatever decision comes out, they should be in favor of public, or at least keeping the people aware. So this is that photo which Prashant Bhushan has tweeted. He has given some kind of his opinion in the tweets. This was during the time of shutdown, when Chief Justice of India Bodbe Saab was on a bike without mask. Other people around him were with the mask, something like that. And this was criticized. And Prashant Bhushan, whatever he sent, he was held guilty of contempt. So he gave some 2 tweets, and that judiciary said suo moto, apne aap. Suo moto means nobody appealed. That judiciary saw those tweets and said, okay, how can you do that? So he was given this particular contempt of court. He was charged for that. Justice Arun Mishra is the same judge who actually gave the verdict that okay, life should move on and exams are to be there. So there is nothing doing without exam. So he actually said that this is a serious contempt of court, and this should not have happened. You know, this particular judges, basically criticism of judges should be taken, I mean, a very matured way. You know, should citizen of India, lawyers, retired judges, can they criticize the sitting judges or not? If we criticize the judge, does that mean a contempt of court? So that means there should not be any criticism of the judge. I mean, that is a serious matter. So criticism is good or bad? Will criticism lead to the contempt? Now it is the duty, no doubt, contempt of court is kept to maintain the basically supremacy and impartiality in judiciary should be kept intact. Judiciary should not be under the pressure from any corner. But then as the authority goes, responsibility also increases. If Supreme Court has, or higher judiciary has authority, they have a responsibility also. They should behave very maturely in this particular cases, like whether that criticism should be contempt of court or not. So as I told you, tweets were about role of last 4 Chief Justice of India, and Chief Justice of India riding expensive motorcycle or motorbike. So, you know, there is nothing wrong in sitting on a motorcycle. There is nothing wrong in that. But people can criticize. If somebody is saying how Chief Justice without mask sitting on so costly bike, if somebody is saying that, he is criticizing individual person, not judiciary, not Supreme Court. He is not bringing basically to the question his conduct as Chief Justice. He's saying as a person, and that you can criticize anybody. You can criticize anybody. I mean, without mask, how are you going there? Can't you criticize any person? You can do that. No, matter of fact is he happened to be the Chief Justice. Does not mean that no, you cannot say. You cannot say because he's a Chief Justice, you cannot say him this. That is something which is to be seen here. Now, Prashant Bhushan also said that constitutional court, that is highest constitutional court, that is Supreme Court of the country, has in last 6 years plays a vital role in destruction of Indian democracy. This is something which he has said, and these are the opinion and views reflected by other judges also. This undermines the dignity and authority of the institution of Supreme Court. So the point here is, when many people start giving their opinion against a judiciary, judiciary must self-analyze. Judiciary must self-analyze. As I told you, after all, it is the public which is supreme under Constitution of India, not any organ of government, neither executive nor legislature nor judiciary. It is the public, people. And when people start criticizing from different corners, it's a high time for criticism as this self-analysis. You know, earlier also in January 2018, four senior most judges of Supreme Court came out and they have, in the press conference, they have said that credibility of highest judiciary is at stake, and they said that democracy would not survive as independent judiciary. Independence of judiciary is basically the hallmark of successful democracy, and judiciary should be independent. That time Chief Justice of India was Deepak Mishra, and the senior most sitting judges went and said all this in the open press. That from there all this started. This is 2018, 2018. Now why this all is happening? Because I think the appointment system of judges, that is a collegium system as of now. You know what is a collegium system? That means appointment and elevation of judges from High Court to Supreme Court, or transfer of the judges, is done by collegium system. Collegium system means there is a forum of Chief Justice of India and four senior most judges of Supreme Court who decided, and government agreement of opinion of government is also to be seen into that. So appointment, impartial appointment of judges is something which is very, very important if you want to prevent the politicization of judiciary. If suppose judges are appointed by political bosses and they start praising politicians, like sitting judge start praising and says Modi is my role model, suppose sitting judge says that, then politicization of judiciary, we have a fear for that judiciary should not be politicized. It should not be that this judge belongs to this political party, this judge has inclination for this political party, because if that happens, then there is a dark day for Indian Constitution. Because in the Constitution, all the organs of government, there is a check and balance. Who will protect the Constitution? Supreme Court. Judiciary. Who will amend the Constitution? Legislature. Who will execute it? That is executives. So suppose judiciary and legislature and there is some kind of nexus, then it is not good for the nation and survival of the Constitution. Judiciary should be independent and they should behave independently. Judiciary should not have any kind of affiliation for any political group or something like that. Now, one of the very important topic which was in news was investigative journalism, role of media in raising national issues. Investigative, you know, media ka role is to present the information impartially, present the entire information to the public. Judgment, doing judgment or investigation is not the purpose of media. But nowadays what we see is, at least, you know, I'm referring to the case of the death of the recent actor सुशांत की डेथ जो हुई थी, उसमें उसी केस के रिगार्डिंग आई एम टेलिंग दिस एंटायर थिंग हियर. सो आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ सुशांत, some media houses started investigating all these things. Now investigation is not the function or work of media, it is the work of basically the crime bodies, CBI or something, or police is to do investigation, and judgment is to be given by judiciary. Police cannot be giving cannot be the body to give judgment. Police cannot give the punishment the way we have seen in encounter. Last month, you know, there was an encounter of the person who killed some police people. So encounter also is not justified because police cannot give the punishment. Police का रोल अपना अलग है, इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग बॉडी का रोल अपना अलग है, जुडिशरी का रोल अलग है, मीडिया का रोल अलग है. मीडिया जब रोल ले लेगी जुडिशरी का या पुलिस का, then it will not be good. So this is the reason, and I take you back to 2008 when Arushi Talwar case चला था. उस अरुषि तलवार केस में न्यूज में और कुछ नहीं आता. दैट टाइम ऑल्सो न्यूज में वही आता था, बिकॉज पीपल एक्चुअली दे वांटेड टू सी दिस ओनली. आई सपोज they wanted to see this case only. उसमें interesting लगता था. I suppose the case was sensational and interesting, and media became investigative. They used to go to Arushi's mother, father, why it happened, and that was a trauma for the family members. Now इतने सालों के बाद, 10-11 साल के बाद, अब सेम चीज हो रही है in case of this death of the Sushant case also. सुशांत राजपूत के केस में भी वही चीज हो रहा है अभी। पीछे से थोड़ा देर पहले श्रीदेवी की डेथ के टाइम पे भी ऐसे होता, शी ऑल्सो डाइड इन वेरी sudden way, and then that same thing was there. I'll say this journalism is irresponsible journalism. This should not be there. Journalism should be to bring the facts, whatever facts are provided to journalism or they get, to bring the facts to the public, not to investigate. That is not the role of basically media. And also it gives a lot of pressure and trauma to the parents also. Like Sushant Rajput ka aap socho parents pe how it will affect them, and also those who are involved in this particular case, like Sushant Singh Rajput ke sath sath aur bhi there are some his people are also like involved, you know, like actor Riya Chakravarti, and you are going to her personal life, you are basically dissecting her messages, meeting her parents. So it is a trauma for individual citizen, that is against the her fundamental rights. So that is also media is doing. So all the basically news channels only are showing one particular thing at the cost of all other major news. बिहार के अंदर फ्लड कब आए, कब फ्लड आके चले गए, और कोविड की सिचुएशन इंडिया में क्या चल रही है, नथिंग. यू आर नॉट शोइंग एनीथिंग. इकोनॉमी पूरी ड्रूप कर गई, इंडिया की इकोनॉमी मैक्सिमम नेगेटिव चलेगी, इंडिया में कोविड केसेस हाईएस्ट चले गए, इकोनॉमी मैक्सिमम नेगेटिव चलेगी, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट नेगेटिव चला गया, कोविड का केसेस हाईएस्ट हो गया, बिहार में फ्लड आ गए, सब कुछ चल रहा है, लेकिन न्यूज चैनल ओनली एक ही न्यूज सुना रहा है कि सुशांत राजपूत की डेथ कैसे हुई. दिस इज समथिंग विच इज not good actually. So conspiracies only you are showing. So this is the violation of laws, privacy, ethics, morality, everything. Investigative journalism should not be there, because investigation is not the role of media. That is a point here we should know, because that harasses the family members. This is trauma for the family members, etc. and all. So is month mein, now let me tell you in this particular month what were the main important topics which were in news, which I think group discussion mein aa sakte hain. As I told you, these main news were related to economy जो shrink कर गई है, investigative or irresponsible media role, that is something which is important, judiciary ka role, and India ka COVID situation, unemployment. These are the current issues which we have to think of. मैंने आपको थोड़ा सा brief इसके बारे में दिया है. Just keep seeing these particular news, find these news. मेरे को लगता है इसमें से rated कहीं ना कहीं से GDs बनना चाहिए. Thank you.